I'm Brian Russell. Welcome back to class. I want to talk with you today about a particular type of Hebrew syntax. I want to talk about a construct chain. Now, depending on what text you learned Hebrew with, I'm going to use two different types of vocabulary. For all the syntax, I'm going to be referring to Arnold Choi, A Guide to Biblical Hebrew Syntax, and then I've listed two different types of beginning grammars. I'm going to use Cook-Holmsted Beginning Biblical Hebrew. Cook-Holmsted uses traditional Hebrew terms for a lot of the grammar and syntax, and then I also have a representative kind of traditional grammar, Siao, and so I'll be using a mix of vocabulary from all of these, and I'll try to explain and make it as clear as possible. And I use an example here from Exodus 1:9, B'nai Yisrael, for that. Now, when we're looking at a construct chain, Cook-Holmsted use the language of a bound example, and so traditional grammars will talk about absolute and construct. In other words, in traditional Hebrew grammars, the word construct, when you have a construct noun, that signals that the word following, which will be often the absolute term or the next unit, is going to be a genitive of the construct. And so traditionally, when you run into a construct noun, the most literal way to translate it is of, and then you need to explore, which is what we're going to talk about, the force of that genitive. What does the of really mean? Does it signal a relationship, possession, an attribute, or other things that we see when we bring language into to our languages? The Cook-Holmsted book uses, again, traditional language. So instead of absolute, the Cook and Holmsted use the language somak, construct, nismak, and to speak of essentially the construct relationship or the bound relationship, or even what traditionally is known as a construct chain, meaning at least one construct followed by an absolute. Cook and Holmsted use the language of semikut. And so anyway, that's a little bit of vocabulary, so make sure that you follow. I'm going to use traditional language now, so I'm going to be talking about construct, absolute. Again, if you learn Cook-Holmsted, he'll use the language of bound forms. So what I want you to see is this is a complex construct chain, and what I mean by that is we have two nouns. This is construct, this is construct, this is absolute, or to use Cook-Holmsted language, this is nismak, somak. And you can translate this fairly easily. It's going to be people, is people. This B'nai, sons, and Israel. We have a proper name here. So these are the basic meanings of these three words. Now, I already said that these are construct or bound. How do I know that? Well, in this case, we have a vowel reduction. The lexical form of would be just like this. And so notice we have the reduced vowel here. That's a way that Hebrew signals construct or bound form by it doesn't have a stress accent, in the sense that it doesn't, we don't have vowels that lengthen under accent. So this is construct. You can also use the clue. We have a conjunctive accent mark, which suggests that this goes with the next word. Now, B'nai is clearly and obviously construct or bound based on the ending. This is the masculine plural construct ending. It's one of the two distinct construct signals that we have in terms of the morphology. And then we have Yisrael. Yisrael is absolute because it's a proper name. So you're not going to see a proper name ever in a construct state. And we also can note that this signals the end of a chain. We had a conjunctive accent mark, a conjunctive accent mark, and then we have the zakef katon, which is a fairly strong disjunctive to show that this is a unit. Now, To make a literal translation, whenever you have a bound noun that signals that the next unit is a genitive, the easiest way to do that is just to put the word of in here, and we'll put that in both places. Again, we got to read the Hebrew this way. So we have people of, sons of Israel. That's a literal translation, and we want to touch that up additional point because the last word in the construct chain is definite. Mean it's not just talking about any Israel, it's the Israel. And definite would, to be definite, to be a definite noun in Hebrew, you're either going to be a proper name, which we have here, or you'll have the definite article on the last word on the absolute form, or this word will have an attached suffix, like it could have been people of, sons of, my family, because it would have the suffix my attached to it would be definite. So you could be definite by proper name, definite article, or having an attached pronoun to it. Because Israel's definite, that means when we go back and translate, the entire chain of nouns is definite. So we would add the people of the sons of Israel. Okay, now to analyze this, we have to ask ourselves, what's the force of the genitive? And now this is why I put this up here. Let's start just with the last piece. What I want you to note here is that we actually have two genitives. And sometimes it's helpful to use brackets. So for example, if we start here at the end, we'll start with the absolute noun. Let's go back to its first referent. We have sons of Israel. So this is one genitive relationship. And then if we back it out, we can also see then that people is essentially in a genitive relationship with the entire rest of the bracket. So it's the people of Israel's sons. And so to properly analyze this construct chain, we're going to need to make a comment on the force of both of these. So let's start with sons of Israel. This is probably the most straightforward type of genitive because what is this signaling? This is signaling a relationship. So this would be here. This is a genitive of relationship. It signals the relationship of whose son we're talking about. It's sons of Israel. Now, let's take a look at this one. What's the force of this genitive? What's it mean? People of the sons of Israel. The people of the sons of Israel. What's the force here? Well, it's describing, we'd have to agree that sons of Israel is essentially describing the people that we're talking about. And if you look up in Arnold Choi and look at genitive, this is most clearly a genitive of attribution. In other words, the genitive attribution gives a quality or attribute of people. So what people are we talking about? We're talking about the sons of Israel. Anyway, this is how you would analyze a construct chain. And again, this is so we basically have an example of how to analyze two different constructs. Describe the genitive. Again, just to make it clear, when you find a construct or bound noun, the next word after it is the genitive, right? And so you want to look up how the second piece modifies the first one, and that's how you can describe the syntax and how to analyze a construct chain. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm Brian Russell, and it's my privilege to be your professor, and I'll see you next time.